We got quite some new game announcements and reveals at Summer Game Fest. I want to go over the titles that I think are the most interesting to you and share all the new info. Of course, let me know your favorite in the comments down below. Starting with a brand new game in the Plague Tale saga, Resonance, but one that you should be able to enjoy without having played the previous two titles. We namely play Sophia, who you can know from the second game, but this follows her before she meets Hugo and Amicia, with the most exciting differentiating factor being that Sophia is a capable fighter with a blade, so we can have more regular fights in this installment on the island of Crete. Because yes, maybe you already noticed it, but the game takes place in Greece, and the goal is to discover Sophia's connection with this golden armored character that we see in the trailer, who could be Theseus, the hero who defeated the Minotaur in the original myth and helped himself navigate the Minotaur's labyrinth with a ball of thread. But yeah, a different take on the Greek myths after Odyssey. It has me intrigued. Oh, and the new concept art they released also shows a fighting pit, one of my favorite activities in any game, so I'm keeping an eye on this one for sure. Ever since the first reveal of Blood of the Dawnwalker, it also caught my attention, not only because it's from the studio Rebel Wolves, made up of a ton of CD Projekt Red veterans, but also because of the interesting gameplay ideas. You as Kun are namely a human during the day, but a vampire by night, which means that depending on the time of day, you have completely different playstyles. While it's still light, you can use your sword and magic spells in combat, but when the sun sets, you fight with your claws, have a darker set of powers you can use, and are granted supernatural strength and agility. Like, my favorite parts of the trailer are certainly the free running and walking up walls. It looks insane. The game should also be very open-ended. After the prologue, you have one goal: save your family, but how you do that is up to you. Do you completely ignore the human rebellion against the vampires? It should be possible, just like going to the final boss after just a few hours. I really hope they deliver on this concept. I still have some question marks regarding the combat. That seems to be more on the level of a Banishers, which was fine, but nothing too crazy. But they will have a 15-minute gameplay showcase very soon, where we likely get our answers. One of the best showings at Summer Game Fest was totally for Clockwork Revolution, as it was able to rise to a spot in my top 5 most anticipated games. The premise is namely very interesting. So we play Morgan Vanette, who we can customize ourselves, and they are part of the Rotten Row Hooligans gang, who with other gangs wants to fight Lady Ironwood. And she used time travel to bring herself to power, but we now got this power as well, and we can use it in combat to, for example, rip bullets from the enemies and put them back into the barrel of our gun. You can rewind the time when you die, so you can try again, but you can also use it to solve environmental puzzles. Time travel also plays a big role in the story, as we should be able to go back and change past events and then go back to the current day to see what has happened. Like, the city can take on completely different forms depending on our actions. Add pretty deep RPG elements on top of that, like weapon customization and skill trees, and I think we got a very interesting game on our hands. The only downside is that they did not announce a release year, so we might have to wait till 2027 to play this. A game that is already out in August is Dying Light: The Beast. In the new gameplay they shared, you will see that it initially was a DLC for the second game that they now turned into its own standalone thing, as many animations and elements remain unchanged. But this does already feel like a way more complete package, as they add a ton on top of what made the gameplay of Dying Light already satisfying. There's namely a way bigger arsenal of weapons. We now also have shotguns, flamethrowers, and assault rifles, and you have this slow motion effect when jumping or sliding to make that guns blazing playstyle a bit more fun. Although stealth is still crucial too, especially during night when the infected are way more dangerous. Vehicles are also back and can let you more easily traverse the new map that I think looks stunning. Way more overgrown areas, we can explore more nature, a train yard which reminded me of the first game. It looks way more varied and graphically impressive, with dynamic weather now added too that can make it rain. They also stressed that the beast still has survival elements. The car can get damaged and break, and you also need gas for it to work. And you of course also have limited resources, but main character Kyle Crane has a solution for that, as dealing damage and taking enough damage during combat activates beast mode, and then Kyle gets insane strength, very brutal finishers, and can also very quickly take out the new Chimera boss enemy. Now I am afraid that this might be an easy cheat that you can play around, but I'm all for them changing up the combat as well. I was already excited by the idea of a James Bond game by the Hitman makers, but that first trailer was perfect and put it even higher on my most anticipated games list. It for one seems to perfectly capture what makes this franchise so great, from the tropical, crowded and high life settings we will have to infiltrate, to the gadgets that should add some fun twist to the traditional third person action, and this new Bond seems to have the charm, especially with the ladies. He lost his parents at the age of 11 during a tragic mountain climb accident, but still made it through many boarding schools into the navies, and now gets the chance to prove himself as a spy through the 00 program. Seems like the story revolves around 009, who has gone rogue, and it's our job to stop them, which takes us to the school locations. And I'm really curious if the game will have that open level approach that we see in Hitman, so there are multiple creative ways to reach our target. I think that would be very cool, combined with the linear set pieces that we already see, including car chases. Look, I miss Uncharted and love James Bond, so I have really high hopes for this. During the Xbox showcase, we saw the new action RPG from Game Freak. Yes, the Pokemon developers, who are no stranger to branching out and trying other things, but not on this level. As Beast of Reincarnation looks visually pretty impressive. It's set in Japan, or actually what is left of it, as now huge beasts roam the land and humanity's lost hope is Emma and her wolf dog companion Ko. The fast movement makes me think this less of a Souls-like, but more something akin to Stellar Blade, which I'm all for, only then with a cool vine-like grapple hook that we can use in unique ways. Next to the many beasts and robots, there also seem to be humans who stand in our way. Now, not much more is known, but I will be following this for sure. Outer Worlds 2 also deserves a shout out, because while the overall game structure is pretty familiar, they are trying to add some really fun twists and additions to this deep RPG formula. So overall the combat has been improved. They added things like sliding and mantling, just like better recoil and sound design, so it seems on par with other shooters, and the new weapons they added look really fun, like a gun that will have these arms appear that will damage nearby enemies, or a disco saber that you can use on the beat to deal extra damage. On top of that, you can add flaws that have a plus and a downside, like one that gives you an extra magazine size, but if you fully empty that magazine, you get decreased damage for 8 seconds. So you have to reload more often. Or there's one that gives you extra movement speed, but when you stand up from crouching, you will alert everyone because of your cracking sound. They've been getting really creative, and I appreciate that, and they really promise a lot of freedom in how you want to build your character, approach obstacles, and tackle situations, not only with combat or stealth, but you can also bypass them by using certain gadgets that protect you from gas or let you double jump. Or you can complete this objective by sacrificing one of your 6 companions if you want to do a full evil run. As you might know, this is the first $80 game Microsoft is going to put out. Hard to say if it has that type of quality, we will learn at one point, but I'm down for this. I think what they showed looked pretty cool. Again, let me know what Summer Game Fest games you look forward to in the comments down below. Subscribe for coverage on these titles. Check out our previous video by clicking on the screen, and I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.